Coming up on Sports Tonight, oh, what a day. The Browns are 4-1 for the first time since the 1994 season after a wild win over the Colts. And this team may just be heating up.
That's a great feeling, being 4-1, bringing winning back to the Browns.
The voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan, is here with his take on tonight's win and what's next for the guys in orange helmets.
Are the Browns for real? Most say yes. We'll know more next Sunday.
And Tito's coming back. Pat Chiesa takes a closer look at the Tribe Skipper's health battle.
I want to be able to hold up my end of the bargain.
Come on in. Stay a while. We're partying like it's 1994. Sports Tonight starts now.
He rolls to the right. He's firing into the end zone, and it is caught. Touchdown. It's Kareem Hunt. And he's back to pass. Looks, throws, end zone, touchdown. It's Hollywood Higgins. He was wide open. Rivers back to pass. Late pressure coming. Steps up, throws. It's going to be picked off. They got it down the sideline. Picked off by Ronnie Harrison. It's a pick six. Touchdown. Snap back, ball down, Parkey into it, the kick on the way, and the kick is up, and it is good! He got it! Just off the left upright and banks it home with 21 seconds left to go. The Browns are winners again. This is getting to be fun.
Well, it is a great night to be a Browns fan. Wow, what a game today against the Colts. Welcome in to Sports Tonight. I think we're going to have some fun this evening. The Browns are red hot right now following their fourth straight win, and today they battled Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts at First Energy Stadium. Our game of the day brought to you by Brunswick Auto Mart. Car buying made truly simple. It's a great way to open the show. The Browns a winner 32-23 tonight over the Indianapolis Colts. It wasn't the prettiest game of all time, but as we always say, a win is a win, right? The Browns are 4-1. We're celebrating, and the head coach seems pretty happy.
That was a great team win. That was all about the team. Wasn't pretty at times, wasn't perfect. I think offensively we didn't put our defense in a great spot very often in that second half, but for us to come away with a pick six and a safety, I thought was outstanding. So great team win.
Well, our own Jim Donovan was obviously at the game today. He's the voice of the Browns, and let's get Jimmy's take on what this victory means, what this hot start means, and what's next for the Brownies.
Make it 4 wins in a row for the Browns. They're 4-1 for the first time since 1994 when Bill Belichick was the head coach of the Browns. The Browns outlast a really good Indianapolis Colts team and win 32-23 at First Energy Stadium. The Browns put together a big first half offensively, but that offense sputtered and struggled in the second half and turned the ball over a couple of times on a couple of Baker Mayfield interceptions. But in the second half, the defense came up with big plays. An intentional grounding penalty on a Myles Garrett rush on Phillip Rivers in his own end zone led to an important safety, and then 2 big interceptions and a huge D'Ernest Johnson run on a 3rd and 9 late. Phew! They win their 4th in a row.
Anytime you could be a part of history, it's just a great appreciation, so that's a great feeling, being 4-1, bringing winning back to the Browns, and being a part of that. It's something nobody could take from you.
Just the fact that we can pull it out and lean on each other is very important. That's why it's a great team win. We counted on that defense today, and they played well. Guys stepping up and making plays. And so we'll look back on it and realize that where we can improve. But the most important thing is that we came out with a win.
And now you know what's next. On to the Turnpike next week, Heinz Field on Sunday, and the undefeated Steelers. Are the Browns for real? Most say yes. We'll know more next Sunday against Big Ben and Pittsburgh. From First Energy Stadium, I'm Jim Donovan, Channel 3 Sports.
Thank you, Jimmy. Let's get to our play of the day, brought to you by Union Home Mortgage. I got to give it to Sheldrick Redwine, the Browns' second-year man out of Miami, coming up with a big-time interception of Phillip Rivers with about 11 minutes to play in the game. It helped the Browns really get into position to lock up another victory. And the defensive back says he was confident that he was going to have an impact. He was going to contribute in this game.
And it was crazy, that was my first drive, on defense this season. And I walked onto the field and I just stared at the ball and I pointed at the ball. I said, I need you. So for a feeling to just say that and then see that happen, it's kind of unexplainable,
All right, not going to lie to you. Baker Mayfield got pretty beat up out there today. It was a physical football game. That's just the way it was. The Colts are a hard-nosed team, good defense. And I got to tell you, though, Baker did lead his team to its 4th consecutive win. So let's take a look at the Baker line from today. The Browns quarterback finishing 21 of 37 through the air for 247 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. Even had a nice 16-yard scamper in the victory. But, hey, Baker took some big shots out there. He had to get x-rays on his ribs following the game. The good news is they did come back negative, but the Browns quarterback says he's feeling it right now.
Little sore right now. We'll find out tomorrow if we look at it. But I earned that one. I said it after the game on the field. I think that was the worst game I've played out of the 5 so far. But I got to get better. Lots to learn from, but we leaned on that defense, and we got the yards when we needed it. That's a good team we just played, and the good thing about it is we don't have to learn from a loss.
All right, our player of the day is brought to you by Mr. Hero. You got to give this award to Myles Garrett, right? An absolute freak on that Browns defensive line. He had the sack in the first quarter. He was all over the place, especially in the fourth quarter when he gets all up in Phillip Rivers' face, forcing him to throw it out of bounds, forcing a very important safety there. It was just a great play.
Putting together one game at a time. That's all you can do. And it's not perfect, but we're making the best of it. We're coming together as a team and doing it all in every phase.
All right, we are now joined by Scott Petrak from the Chronicle Telegram, longtime Browns beat writer, joins us on the show. And Scott, let's start with the guy we were just talking about on the show, Myles Garrett. I mean, once again, he comes up big with a big-time play. He's such a force on that defensive line. He forces that intentional grounding. When you do that in the end zone, it's a safety. How big was that play in your mind?
Well, yeah, it was huge. It gave the Browns a 2-score lead after they had given up that 101-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So things had kind of gotten dicey. And Garrett has just been doing it every week. This is 4 weeks in a row where he has had a game-changing play.
Scott, not that 3-1 didn't feel legit, but the teams that the Browns had beaten all had a combined, I think, going into today, 1 win. This, to me, maybe their most impressive win. What do you think?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Now, they look better on offense in other games, right? Last week in Dallas, they ran for 307, put up 49 points. But the quality of opponent was the best of their 4 wins. It does add some legitimacy to this 4-1 record. And at some point, you have to say, hey, it's 4-1. There aren't many teams in the league with that kind of record. And you kind of take away all the caveats.
Scott, you're closer to it than all of us are. Kevin Stefanski, I mean, what have you made of him? It's still early, but always kind of seems cool, calm, and collected. The moment never seems too big. I'm not here to throw other coaches under the bus, but We've seen some guys with some interesting antics on the sidelines. This guy's got a great demeanor out there.
Yeah, well, it is a contrast to previous Browns coaches, and I don't think there's any way to get around that, Nick. And you stole the words, calm, prepared. Nothing is too big for him. I've never seen him seem to be overwhelmed. And that's saying something given the unusual offseason that he had to go through. The 38-6 loss in the opener against the Ravens, which could rattle some people. It didn't rattle him. He took it in stride and just said, yeah, we're going to get better next week. So he's been incredibly impressive.
All right, let's look ahead. Final question for you. The Pittsburgh Steelers next week. Would you say in recent memory this is one of the bigger matchups given how they have started? Pittsburgh's 4-0 for the first time since 1979, and then obviously what the Browns have done.
There's no doubt. The Browns are playing for at least a share of first place in the division, right? We don't know what the Ravens are going to do next week, but if they can beat Pittsburgh, then every team in the division has at least one loss. It's huge. I mean, the Browns never start like this, so it's kind of their problem or their fault that there haven't been more big matchups with Pittsburgh. But this should be a really good one.
Scott, really appreciate the time.
Thanks, Nick.
Our sports flashback brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Great furniture, great prices, and here it is. The last time the Browns started a season 4-1. Yep, 1994. Your head coach there, Bill Belichick. He was hugging the defensive coordinator, who was, guess who? Nick Saban. That Browns team actually started out that year going 6-1. They finished the regular season going 11-5. They lost in the second round of the playoffs to the Steelers. All right, the Steelers have done something they have not done since 1979. They're heating up. We'll tell you about it coming up.
It's very special. It's, we continue to take strides each and every week. I think for me, just, continue to pay attention to what's going on in the game and, how hard these guys work each and every day, how hard we work, how hard the coaches staff work. I mean, it's no surprise that we're in this position.
You better believe we are scoreboard watching the rest of the AFC North. That's what happens when you're winning, right? It's so much more fun when the Browns are winning like they are. Let's scoreboard watch a little bit here. This is fun. Let's check in on Big Ben and the Steelers hosting the Eagles at Heinz Field today. Pittsburgh up 31-29 late fourth quarter when Roethlisberger throws a dart to Chase Claypool. That goes for a touchdown. That sealed the deal for the Steelers. They are 4-0 for the first time since 1979. How about 4 touchdowns for Claypool, the Notre Dame product, having a nice year for himself. All right, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens hosting the Cincinnati Bengals today. And this game felt like it was over before it even started. Jackson going to Mark Andrews early in the end zone. That put Baltimore up 10-0, and they never looked back. Your final score, Ravens 27, Cincy 3. So here you go, your AFC North standings. It's getting tight. Some quality football being played by the Steelers, the Ravens, and all those teams. All right, next up, when the Browns go to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, this is going to be the first chance that we get to see Myles Garrett going back against Pittsburgh. You remember the ugly scene at the end of that Browns-Steelers game last year in Cleveland. Gotta believe all eyes will be on Garrett in that showdown. All right, coming up, don't go anywhere. Terry Francona went through a tough year health-wise. Pat Chiesa shares with us what the Indian skipper thought about when he was at one of his lowest points. That's coming up next.
Not having him was really hard. It was hard for Tito and it was hard for all of us. And I think there was a physical component for him where he just wasn't feeling well, and that really was hard for him. But there was also a emotional and mental component of not being, he loves so much being part of the team and being part of the environment and being in the fray with everyone, and not being able to do that was really hard for him.
Hearing from Indians President of Baseball Operations, Chris Antonetti, talking about Terry Francona. I think all of us feel like Sandy Alomar did a great job filling in as the acting manager, but Tito definitely was missed this season. Pat Chiesa has a look at what Tito went through this past year and how much he's looking forward to getting back into the dugout next season.
On the appeal, he swung the bat, and the New York Yankees have swept the Indians.
The Indians season didn't have a storybook ending, especially for their manager.
The challenges are tough sometimes, but that doesn't mean you back away or you give up or you shake your head.
For Terry Francona, the challenge was far greater than advancing in the postseason.
And I felt really guilty because I wasn't there.
Tito missed 9 of the Tribe's first 23 games with a gastrointestinal issue that required surgery. Another trip to the hospital revealed 3 blood clots, which led to 3 more surgeries and nearly a week-long stay in the ICU. Francona admits he considered retiring from baseball.
Some days when I was extremely frustrated, the thought crossed my mind when it was hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
But slowly, that light at the end of the tunnel became brighter. Tito grew strong enough to watch his team in person. And although he was unable to return to the dugout this season, the 61-year-old is expected to take back the reins in 2021.
regardless of what happens or what challenges are thrown your way, we're never going to abandon our will to want to win. That'll never change.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a better embodiment of that message than the man sending it. Pat Chiesa, 3 Sports.
Great stuff, Pat. The King gets another ring. LeBron and the Lakers win the title. We'll tell you about it more when we come back. Our high school football play of the week comes from Stowe Bulldogs quarterback Owen Bainbridge. This is the first quarter touchdown pass that he threw. It was one of 3 touchdown passes from Bainbridge. The Bulldogs, a first-round playoff win over Cleveland Heights. Stowe will play Mentor this week in the second round of the playoffs. Well, it seemed like it was never in doubt. LeBron James and the Lakers taking care of business against the Miami Heat to win Game 6 of the NBA Finals and to ultimately win an NBA championship. The Lakers beat the Heat 106-93. It's LeBron's 4th NBA title. If you're keeping track at home, Michael Jordan had 6 rings. So if you're doing all the comparison stuff, I know we like to do that. LeBron still has 2 more to catch MJ. But LeBron, the kid from Akron, winning it all again, topping the Heat 4-2 in the finals. That's the Lakers' 17th NBA championship. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports Tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great week and stay safe out there.